And a typical president, whether they were a Republican president or a Democratic president, would be doing something to try to beat back what is obviously an anti-Semitic tide, an anti-Muslim tide, a nationalist tide. No one can deny that it's happening. But you've seen this administration really pull back the resources to even investigate it or to quantify it. So what can the American people do if the White House is not exhibiting the normal kind of emergency footing that we would normally see?
Well, you make a key point, which is that this administration is making it worse. They're making it worse because they won't identify white nationalism as a major catastrophe, not only in this country, but around the world. Trump, after New Zealand, of course, said it was just a few people. He wasn't concerned about it. He is so obsessed with Muslim or rather radical Islamic terrorism that he set up all of these nonsensical provisions like the Muslim ban, and he's really ignoring the core issue here. And I think it's undeniable that when he himself talks about being a nationalist, when he says in this language of xenophobia and hatred about immigrants, this seeps into the culture. This emboldens people. This gives people who have these views confirmation that they're not outside the mainstream, that they're perfectly accepted in American society. And that has to end. You absolutely need it from the White House, but it can come from other places. Congress can come together. We've seen, as was pointed out, the Muslim community, the Jewish community come together. Religious leaders, faith leaders, governors, mayors. And I think there has to be an outpouring and a demand for leadership. And I understand so personally that we look to the president in times like this, but I think it's time to realize he's not going to help. He's making things worse. Yep. And so I think we have organize ourselves collectively, and I think we have to establish some boundaries for public debate and for public speech by the President of the United States, who is now trying to rewrite history and deem Charlottesville all about a historical debate or a historical movement, which, by the way, would be in favor of a vicious slave owner who rebelled against the United States of America. He is not going to help. And for that reason, I think the rest of us have an enormous responsibility, Democrats, Republicans, not to squabble about ourselves, not to say who's the worst anti-Semite or who's the worst white nationalist, but really as a moment of national unity to come together and condemn this. This has to end.
Yeah. Well, so let's go to, we have a congressman. We happen to have a congressman in the House. Ted Lieu, what can Congress do? I mean, funding emerges from the House of Representatives. You've seen this administration pull back.